What is it about riding motorcycles that makes people talk about freedom? It's as if because we ride a motorcycle, we found some fourth dimensional plane that can only be obtained by riding. Is it really a newfound freedom, or is it something much deeper? Something that has been locked away inside the rider, dormant and unseen. Getting old? Well, there is just no other way to say it. Getting old sucks. Now, I'm not sure when I heard that for the first time, but I'm betting it was about the time I could understand English. My old man was a wordsmith, so he used much more colorful language than I can here. I guess it didn't dawn on me that when you're young, everyone is older, and all the old people I knew were complaining about getting there. The way I remember it, that kind of complaint just went in one ear and out the other. At least in my case, that's how it was. When older folks uttered those words, I would just give a blank stare akin to saying, "Yeah, but that don't affect me, so who cares?" It's funny how time marches along right in front of our faces, but we don't seem to notice any changes within ourselves. Sure, we get bigger as we age, but when we look in the mirror, it's still us, and seemingly nothing changes. But we do change, whether we admit it or not. And while some of the change is just part of growing up, some of it is change that is happening in the way we interact with our environment and circumstances, and within our own life. And we never even know these changes are happening. Riding motorcycles for me has always been a kind of release, a way to blow off steam or get a hit of adrenaline. But all that is temporary, and eventually we have to try and repeat those rides in order to get any value out of our motorcycles. Now, Google says that humans are deeply pattern-based or pattern-seeking animals. The human brain is engineered to detect, create, and impose patterns on the world to make sense of information, predict future events, and ensure survival. But I'm not so sure that is a good thing when it comes to riding motorcycles. Not the survival part. I'm beginning to think maybe the real benefit we get from motorcycles happens when we get something unexpected, something that wasn't part of the previous pattern, something new. Some of my most memorable rides were the result of falling away from the plan. In my way of thinking, as we get older, we need less pattern and routine, and more time unplugging from decades of monotony and robotic life that seems to have fogged our brains into a subconscious state that even extends into our pastimes. So, if it's true that it's human nature to seek patterns and build routines and then wash, rinse, repeat, what is the answer to that? Well, I think y'all can see where this is going. Well, the good news is that a midlife crisis is not a clinical disorder, by definition, of course, but a challenge, often growth-oriented, transitional, or that's what AI says. Turns out a midlife crisis is a period of emotional turmoil, identity questioning, and self-confidence struggles often occurring between ages of 40 and 60. It is driven by the realization of mortality and a desire to change, often leading to impulsive behavior, career shifts, or relationship changes. Well, no kidding. So we find out we're on the backside of life and we begin to push the panic button. Is that what you're telling me there, Gemini? Well, I don't know about you, but I wore that little button right out. But is riding a motorcycle after 40 a midlife crisis in the way it's typically thought of? I mean, are we doing it to appear young and viral, or is it something else? Is there really a freedom of sorts that happens when we ride? I kind of think there is. Maybe freedom is not the right word, but whatever it is, it seems to be a process by which a cleansing or rejuvenation of the mind, body, and spirit takes place. In the early 90s, I remember the first time I got a computer and began to learn how they worked. Or maybe the better way to say it is I learned how they didn't. I mean, what the hell is a computer crash? I'm a mechanical guy, a motorcyclist. I get that moving parts fail, tires wear out and all, but how does a computer fail? That is not a rhetorical question. You know, as I got older, I began to realize that my old man might have been on to something when he was always going on about planned obsolescence. You buy a computer and it seems it spends its entire life doing updates and self-repair in order to function, until one day they get too old and too full of junk files, viruses, and the manufacturer cuts off support. Then they die. I think us humans work much the same way. We go a lifetime of working, taking on hardship, debt, stress, and all the while we're aging. The warranty is running out and we're nearing the point of no longer being supported. If only there was a way we could get an update, maybe remove any mental viruses and delete all our junk files, we could extend our lives. Maybe that's what motorcycles are doing for us, updating us. Maybe riding motorcycles forces us to use parts of our brain and body in a way that reconnects all those vital pathways in our mind, to clean away the junk files so that our processing ability is not marred to the point of instability, to reconnect memories and emotion and give life a sense of purpose again. As I've aged, and especially over the last 2 years, I've noticed that I've been reconnected to my past in ways I never expected. I guess you could say a recent update installed new drivers and software that affect how I ride and what matters when I do. I'm no longer seeking the thrills and adrenaline. Those were the things that masked the passing of time. My internal clock was reset and calibrated to allow for maximum enjoyment for the last portion of my life, wherever that may lead. That's a viewpoint I could never have found before. When I woke up this morning, it was one of those ultra clear, cobalt blue sky days, right at the start of spring, and the only thing I thought of was hopping on the bike and going out and experiencing this day. Not the curves, not the rush from the twisting the throttle, nor the hypnotic snarl of this 200 horsepower beast of a bike. No, today I just wanted to go out and smell the countryside air, feel the breezes off the St. Johns River, and take in the kind of day that happens maybe 3 or 4 times a year. I got to thinking, how many days like this did I let pass? But also, how many more will I have the fleeting chance to ever experience again? This matters to me. At the age of 62 now, I feel like I could ride another 20 years, God willing. But I know that is not a guarantee. So dropping everything to come out here and feel this again is something I cherish each and every time I do it. My motorcycle has effectively become a health-related tool because it is constantly challenging me in ways that improve every aspect of my life. The days of trying to be Evel Knievel are long gone, but the motorcycle and me remain. At the same time, it is connecting me to what matters most, and that is something kind of special. From now on, I'm not taking anything for granted anymore. I hope there will come a day when I can sit with a grandkid and tell him stories about riding motorcycles and what that did for me. The thrills, spills, adventures and loss, all of it made for an impressive time I wouldn't trade for anything. Hey guys, I want to thank you for watching, thank you for subscribing, and let me know what you think about this video. Has this kind of stuff happened to you in your life? Have you found new purpose riding your motorcycle and enjoy it more? Let me know. And we'll see you in the next video. Thanks.